space per unit. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient
average square, and it's actually located in the 3F 2000 district. There's a pre-existing 3-family dwelling on the site and a vacant lot. We're proposing to demolish the existing 3-family dwelling and replace that with a new 6-unit dwelling with parking at the grade level. As you can see here from the BPDA abstract, the lots are typical for that side of the street. It's actually located next to a 38-unit mixed-use building, which stands at 5 stories to the rear portion of the property. If we can sneak down to the next slide, we can probably see the context of the neighborhood. So here's the existing 3-family dwelling with the multifamily located immediately to the right. You can go to the next slide. Looking down Orleans Street, this is towards the waterfront. You have a 15-unit building to immediately across the street.
Mr. Lenz, it's getting late for us. Can you kind of speak through your presentation?
I'll cut to the chase. Let me move to the rendering. Yes, sorry about that, Madam Chair. I get a little excited when I get the opportunity to present here. Why don't we stop? Let's stop at that one there. So, Madam Chair, what we're proposing is actually 4 studio units, or about 620 square feet each, and 2 2-bedroom units, approximately 1,200 square feet, and those would be located on levels 4 and levels 5. We've gone to great lengths through the community process to design this building to fit and complement the streetscape along that section of Orleans Street. One of the other things that we've done through the community process is ensure that the height of our building is actually lower than the roof deck of the adjoining 38-unit building to its right. We do have that direct abutter who is an owner-occupant of that building supporting this project based upon the modifications we made. We also agreed to do no roof deck above the upper level. With respect to the relief that's necessary, because this is a 3F district, we are requesting relief for multifamily use. We do meet the requirements for minimum lot size at 2,076 square feet, and the minimum lot frontage we have 37.75 feet. We do require relief on the side yard, but there was already an existing non-conforming condition on the left side. We are maintaining that, but providing a 2.5-foot setback on the right side. The rear yard for this particular lot, under the exceptions to Article 53, would only be a 10-foot requirement because of the shallow lot nature. The existing condition is already non-conforming, and we are proposing a 7.5-foot setback. The height of this building is above the 3-story, 35-foot limit. We do propose this at 5 stories. However, as I mentioned, the design of this building is intended to complement what presently exists on Orleans Street and also takes advantage of the slope from the corner of Sumner as it heads down towards the waterfront. So we do have a total of 49.5 feet, but again, staying below the roof deck of the adjoining building to the right.
So, Councilor, who is the architect on this?
Nick Landry, and he is on the call.
Okay. Tell us about those garage doors and how the parking is supposed to work.
I did have an opportunity to express to Mr. Landry that part of the design review, these garage doors would have to be translucent. We are showing for illustration just to identify where the garage is, but that is certainly something that they'll be incorporated.
I know where I was going, but the question mostly is that for such a small lot, what is it, 2076?
Correct.
That you have 2 curb cuts. Which takes away from the sense of pedestrian, and there is another curb cut to the garage right next door. And so that is something that would be of concern to us.
Sure. So we are showing a total of 4 parking spaces. They would be tandem in nature, since you'd not be able to provide a different arrangement, especially with the entranceway where we've located it. And that was something that was raised during the community process. There was no specific objection to having the curb cut arrangement in this manner, more so because of the fact that there is no parking on this side of Orleans Street. But I certainly understand the concern over the pedestrian experience along that section of Orleans.
Madam Chair, Mr. Lenz, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but just on that topic, because Bob D'Amico from BT is speaking on this one. To your point, the area for parking 4 cars is undersized and there must be a change. into the curb cut design. Both curb cuts must be changed, is what he's recommending.
Okay.
How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
The plans are okay. I had the same concerns about the curb cuts and the garage doors, so.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Lina Tramelli with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on the record in support. The Office of Neighborhood Services held an abutters meeting on January 14, where the applicant addressed most of the concerns of the abutters, and we also received 12 letters of support from abutters, including one direct abutter. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The council would like to leave this project at the discretion of the board.
Thank you. Any raised hands, Mr. Ambassador?
Yes, ma'am, there are two. Can't, oh, yeah, yes, two, but I'm not sure if Minor still has a question. But Dennis, you've been unmuted.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Happy New Year, Madam Chairman and members of the board. I'm Dennis Sullivan at 1 Brigham Street in East Boston, and I represent the Jeffries Point Neighborhood Association. Our neighborhood association voted against this project with a vote of 14 in favor and 20 opposed. Among the reasons that were cited by residents opposing the project are the planned height of violating the current zoning code. Several residents in the abutter radius object to the extra height of the building. And also that the planned building adds substantial density without adding adequate parking spaces. This is in a neighborhood which already faces a shortage of on-street parking. Thank you.
Thank you. That was
Madam Chair, Secretary here. There's 14 letters of support, and that was the one letter of opposition was from the Jeffries Point.
okay. Given that information, may I have a motion, please?
Can I ask a question, please? Relative to parking, Mr. Lind, did you say there's no parking on that side of Orleans Street?
Yeah, Orleans Street does not have parking on that side. The other side of the street does have parking, and that was one of the considerations in looking at the curb cut impact.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve a design review.
Is there a second?
Yeah. Second, can we make both BPDA and BTD design review? Joe?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 106-8478, 324 Sumner Street. This is to renovate and erect a vertical addition with roof deck, change occupancy from a one-family beauty salon to 3-unit residential dwelling, and extend living space into the basement. Violations, Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 27T, East Boston iPod. Article 53, Section 52, roof structure restriction. Article 53, Section 9, the additional lot area is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, the building height is excessive in feet. In Article 53, Section 9, the side yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you again, Madam Chair, members of the board. Richard Lenz, on behalf of the petitioner, Bobby Gerizimidis. Also with me is Derek Rubinoff, the architect of this project. I will provide the abbreviated version, Madam Chair. This project is in the Jeffries Point section of East Boston. It's a pre-existing residential and commercial use at the lower level. Our proposal would change the occupancy of the building to a 3-family dwelling, which is an allowed conforming use in the district. In addition, we would be proposing a vertical addition to the existing 2-story building and extending living space into the basement. With respect to the unit sizes, we're proposing 1 3-bedroom at the lower level and 2 2-bedrooms at the upper levels. The smallest size unit is 890 square feet, and the 3 bedrooms about 1,500 square feet total. The floor-to-ceiling basement height for the livable space in the basement area is 8 feet clear. And we do have a full walkout to the rear portion of the property, which you'll see in the elevations that will be shown shortly. This proposal requires just a little bit of relief under the code. The existing conditions, as I said, are already pretty much non-conforming with respect to setbacks. However, with respect to the vertical addition that we're proposing, we do require side yard relief to the extent that we're not more than 2.5 feet from the property line. With respect to the other violations, we were cited for height, but I would point out that the total height of the building upon the completion would be 31 feet 9 inches. We do propose a roof deck. That roof deck is not accessed by a head house. There's only a hatch to access the roof deck, so we feel that we're in compliance with the height requirements.
And is that, hold on, is that roof deck only for the top unit?
It is exclusive for the upper level unit, that is correct.
Okay. And Colette, can you show us what that basement proposed space is supposed to look like? Mark, how are the plans?
Well, this is again a topography change front to back. So, in the front, the basement is mostly below grade, and in the back, it's walkout. Mr. Lind, the building abuts the neighboring building to the right, but there's a little space on the left. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's the other concern, which is just in terms, so there's no windows on the right side because you're butting up against another building, and on the left side in the basement, you can look at some of the elevations. I mean, there's going to be limited natural light.
It's Derek Rubinoff here. We would be providing 3 windows into the bedroom that is proposed in the basement closer to the front, and we would provide a window into the bathroom. Furthermore, the amount of area of those windows would be double what is required by the sanitation code. Have 22 square feet of windows.
Please, Derek and Richie, just make sure we stop seeing these ridiculous basement extensions, okay? It's, we've had a long day and we've seen just so many of these today that really try to shoehorn living space into space that just, I don't know how it's going to work. I mean, that front master bedroom, what kind of light is it going to get in there?
Yeah, it'll get mostly ambient light coming through the side yard there. So the one in the back though has a direct large sliding door, going out to the back. And if we look at the rear elevation, you'll see that there's plenty of light and plenty of view into that back bedroom. That back bedroom is going to be, if we go to the rendering down below.
Yeah, the back bedroom is fine, but what we are concerned about is the front bedroom. And
or the elevation. If we go to the elevation, that shows it as well.
Well, wait a minute. I'm looking at the plan view. There's 2 in the front, correct?
There's 3 in that front bedroom there.
I don't see a third one.
In the top section, Mr. Ehrlich, you're looking, Sumner Street is to the left side of your screen. The rear of the building is to the right side of your screen. So you can see the 3 windows right above master bed.
Oh, side by side.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, side by side. And what's the floor to sill height on those? And how big are they?
They are 3 feet wide and 2.5 feet tall. And there's already an emergency escape and rescue door directly into that space. So the sill height of those, I'm just getting to that for you right now. Those are about 5 feet. 5.5 feet, 5.5 feet.
How can you do that? It's why it can't be more than 44 inches.
Because we have a door that is going out of that bedroom directly into a protected stair that goes directly to the yard. So that's allowed under the code. So they have their own door directly out of there into the side passageway there. So that complies with the emergency escape and rescue. Plus the building will be sprinklered for 13R.
Okay, any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Lina Tramelli with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on the record in support. During the community process, this proposal received strong support from abutters and from Jeffries Point Neighborhood Association. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The council would also like to go on the record in support.
Madam Chair, I do have a hand raised. No one else. Dennis. So Dennis, were you planning to speak on this proposal as well?
No, I wasn't. Thank you.
All right,
Jeffries
then,
Point,
lower
the
your-
Jeffries Point Neighborhood Association supported this proposal. I'll speak on that.
Thank you. Given that information, may I have a motion, please?
I'm going to make a motion to approve with two provisos. One is BPDA design review, and the other is that there's no bedroom in the front part of the basement.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Ligris.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is anybody opposing? No. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, can I just say really quickly, there's a huge influx of call-ins. So if anyone is interested in raising their hand and they're calling in, please press *3. So to be able to comment in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, I wonder if that's for Gaston coming up. Yeah, so,
Calling the next case, calling BOA 101-2022, 14 North Bennett Street. This is seeking to change the occupancy from a rectory to 6 residential units, also to erect a one-story addition and complete renovations. The violations, Article 54, Section 10, floor to area ratio is excessive. Article 54, Section 10, usable open space is insufficient. Article 54, Section 10, the rear yard is insufficient. Article 54, Section 18, the roof structure restrictions. Article 54, Section 21, off-street parking loading requirement. Name and address for the record, please.
Madam Chair, I need to recuse myself, Ligris.
thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Daniel Toscano, attorney at law, Drago and Toscano, located at 11 Beacon Street in Boston. Co-counsel on this, Matt Eckel. We represent George Corus, who's the owner of the property, and also on the line is Isaac Smith, who's the architect of this property. We are seeking to change the occupancy from what's existing or currently a rectory to a 6-family residential dwelling and add a 1-story addition. This is 14 North Bennett Street. As you can see, this is a view going towards Hanover Street. This is a multi-family residential sub-district. So when you're looking down, changing the use from the rectory to the residential units, it's an allowable use. Looking at this particular slide, you can see it. We are the 1-story addition. We are going to be still lower than the building that's to the right of us, which is owned by the Roman Catholic Church. And you see St. Leonard's Church that's behind us. That's also much higher than the 55 feet. And the building to the right is over 60 feet. And the building across the street is the former Columbus High School, which has been changed to condominiums many years ago. And they've done an addition that's higher than the 55 feet as well. Going through our floor plan, Madam Chair, we have one on Unit 1A, which is on the ground level. That's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit. That's 667 square feet of living space. On the other side of the property is Unit 1B. That's a 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath duplex. The bedrooms are going to be on the ground as a kitchen and living space. We are going to renovate that area and continue to keep it as a kitchen.
So just give us a count of how many ones and the range of sizes.
Sure. So the 1-bath at 667 square feet. We have 3 2-bedrooms, 2 baths that ranged over 1,200 square feet, 1,280 up to 1,330. And we have 2 identical 3-bedroom, 2-bath units on the 2nd and 3rd level that are at 1,580 square feet of space.
Okay, now what I need clarification from is that looking at the view of the building from the street, will there be any units in the bottom in the bottom part of that building that have those narrow windows?
So unit 1B is going to be a duplex unit, which will be the ground level, which will have the bedrooms, 2 bedrooms and the 2 bath, and that will go into the existing lower space, which will be renovated. It's already existing kitchen and living space that was used by the rectory, and we're going to renovate it and keep it a kitchen and living space. Ceiling height is 9 feet 6 inches, and there are 2 means of egress at that down in that lower level.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Mr. Ehrlich, how are the plans?
The plans are okay, but I have to question the choice of the blue metal siding for the penthouse. Whose idea was that?
That blue metal siding belongs to the building right next to it, which is owned by the Roman Catholic Church. We have agreed if the neighbors would like us to paint it, but I know residents don't like the blue, but that is existing. That's not our building. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
I can go through the violations if that's okay, Madam Chair.
So
But
I have to say I'm relying on you, Mr. Ehrlich. So the plans are okay. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, the plans are okay, but you got to do something about your neighbor.
we'll talk to the church.
Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is John Romano from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This project has gone through an extensive community process and a redesign due to feedback from the community. After such time, we still received letters in opposition, as well as the Neighborhood Council voting against the project and the Residents Association resubmitting their opposition. In contrast to this, we have received a significant number of support letters, including one from the Franciscan Friars who oversee and manages the church, as you just mentioned, Mr. Ehrlich, and who directly abuts the property. At this time, we'd like to go on record and support this project. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Michael Benetti from the Office of Boston City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The council would like to leave this project at the discretion of the board.
Thank you. Anybody else with raised hands?
Madam Chair, Secretary here, we have numerous letters of support and numerous letters of opposition.
Okay.
If I may add, Mr. Secretary, Madam Chair, I think we submitted 125 letters to support, a lot of them being direct about it.
Counselor, hold on. May I hear from Nicole, please?
All right, Ellen, hold on. Okay, okay, Ellen, you've been unmuted. Can you hear us?
Thank you so much.
Connectivity issues, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Can you put your name and address on the record and tell us whether you're in support or opposition?
Madam Chair, my name is Ellen Hume, and I am from 21 North Bennett Street, and I'm the former chair of the Board of Trustees for Columbus Court, which is a 32-unit condo building which directly faces this property across that narrow street that you just saw. And I speak for many opposing abutters. I have an unusual request today, Madam Chair. Our attorney, Larry DeCara, was hit by a car late last week, and we've had new developments where we need an attorney to help us. We've talked to the Archdiocese. There have been new documents filed at the ZBA. Would it be possible to extend this to the future so that we can deal with these new developments? We have a lot of opposition to this.
Hold on. First of all, how is Mr. DeCara?
Well, the last we heard, he was having multiple surgeries and in the ICU at Rhode Island Hospital. He was hit by a car while out walking, and he has been with us every step of the way on this.
Okay, hold on. Because honestly, okay, can I hear from Nicole, please?
Okay.
Hi and good afternoon, Madam.
Okay, Nicole, you've been unmuted.
Hi and good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Nicole DeBenny. My family and I are owners at 1 North Bennett Court, and we are direct abutters of the property under discussion. I'd like to go on record as being in strong support of the proposal at 14 North Bennett Street for many reasons. I think that the change of occupancy and the addition will have many benefits to the street. One, bringing about an increase in property values. Additionally, I think it's going to clean up the existing building and add some liveliness to an otherwise dark and quiet street, especially at night. Also, given the great public transportation system that we have in this city, I don't fear any impact on parking that these units will bring about. And for those reasons, I support the proposal.
Okay. Let's hear from Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa Tizano, 160 Salem Street. My property looks directly down North Bennett Street. And I've been a lifelong resident of the North End. I'm raising my 2 children here. And I am in support of this project. I think it will bring, like Nicole said, some life to this desolate street. At night, it's very quiet and it's dark, and me and my children, we always walk down a different street. It's just been vacant, and the building itself has been kind of just empty for a couple years now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Now hold on. So Counselor, you've heard the objections. Do you have any response?
Well, I'll respond. Madam Chair, members of the board, this has been a long process. We've made numerous changes to the plans based on the concerns of the residents. We're never going to reach an agreement due to the fact that they don't, it's Ms. Humes and a few others. It's not a lot of abutters, but that come to the meetings, that came to the meetings. They're opposed to the 1-story addition that we're proposing. We've made numerous changes to other suggestions that they've made, and I believe that the changes we've made are adequate and they're not negative. They will not create any negative impacts to the neighborhood. So we'll move forward. We'll continue to work with the neighbors. We conducted a shadow study at their request. We've conducted some line of sight photos for their based on their request. So we've done a lot, and we've made numerous changes. In addition, the open usable space, we eliminated all our usable space and created a violation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so given all this information, may I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve a BPDA design review.
Second.
Second,
Ed DeVoe.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for your time. Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 112-1041, 36 Gaston Street. This is construction to change use from a 1-family to residential house to reentry for women being released from prison. The violation is Article 50, Section 28, transitional housing is conditional use in a 3F 4000 sub-district. Name and address for the record, please.
Before we hear from the applicant, I just want to make a statement. This particular project was before the subcommittee, and there were a lot of different opinions on it, and we thought that it would make sense to bring it to the full board. I want to make sure that everybody, that what we hear, because this is looking for relief for certain actions from the zoning code. We are not at all saying that this is a use. We're not putting a value judgment on the use. We know it's a needed use, but we do need to understand how this project will work in the context of the community. So any comments that I will take will be purely on the use, the conditional use. The value, I'm not looking for comments on the value or the need, because we understand both already. Okay, so I want to put that on the record really upfront and right away. Okay, may I?
Just want to clarify, this is a conditional use in this
This
district,
is a
right?
conditional use in this district, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start off with the applicant, and I am going to limit comments. I know we've received a lot of comments on both sides, written comments. So I want to make sure that we keep this manageable and completely focused on the land use implications. And I will also work to limit testimony. I will hear from elected officials, and then I will hear from 3 people to speak in support and 3 in opposition. So, and please make sure that you do not send any notes privately. Everything needs to be to all panelists to be on the record. Okay, Ms. Thomas, Mr. Ambassador?
Yeah, Ms. Ambassador, I'm sorry. I have Cheryl Crawford here as well, just wondering if she should stay on for 533 Washington.
No, tell her that we will be in touch with her. Thank you, Cheryl. We will be in touch with you because we just need to re-advertise it.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So let's go ahead. The representative for the applicant, please put your name and address on the record.
Hi, I'm Aniona. Will you be speaking to the? She is here. Aniona, can you hear us?
Hi, Jessica, I can hear you all.
Okay.
My name is Amaniona Bossman. My address is 14 Stonecrest Road, Mattapan, Massachusetts, 02126.
So tell us what's being proposed.
What's being proposed is a conversion of a single family into a social rehabilitation facility for women coming out of incarceration.
And tell us how many residents you expect to be in this transitional housing?
15 occupants, Madam Chair.
And does 15 occupants include a staff person, or is that?
No. Thank you for asking that. It's 15 occupants and 1 staff person that stays overnight. So that's a total of 16.
So that's 16 people altogether.
Yes.
Okay.
And that number's gonna.
Go ahead.
Okay, so that number will happen gradually once the facility opens. It's not all at one time, but that is the actual total. Based off of the use itself as a R4 conversion, it's actually allowed up to 16 persons plus 1 staff member.
So let me, I just need to get some facts on the record here. And then how many daytime staff people will there be?
There will be up to 3 daytime staff members.
Okay. And then will residents be going to outside activities during the day, and how will they go to outside activities?
Most of the activities are going to be in the facility in terms of the educational and some of the career training and some of the therapy. I don't have all the information on that, but I can ask Stacy if she's interested to speak to that. But outside activities would be more working for the community to do any type of community projects, beautification projects. That would be the extent of those activities, and that would be more on a walking basis.
Okay, and then we talk about 15 occupants. Will there be children, or does this include children?
No, these are all adults.
These are single adults, essentially.
Yes, all adult women. It's a women-based facility.
Okay, and will this is this run by a registered nonprofit that has experience in this field, that's registered with the Commonwealth?
Absolutely. Stacy Borden has done this in the past and is extremely licensed and credentialed to do this work. And I believe on the last subcommittee meeting, she actually shared those licenses and credentials that she has to do this work.
What we need to know, because these are additional members on this full board.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Okay, so we need to start and just make sure that they understand everything. Okay. What I need to know is, like, for example, and I'm just randomly, for example, picking Pine Street Inn. You know, they have a niche, they have programs, they're registered, et cetera, et cetera. Is that true of this provider?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I stepped in earlier because I did not hear our representative at the time when Jessica was looking for a representative. So I want to make sure it gets deferred to the right person who's representing the client. And her name is Carol, and she has her hand up. So Jessica, I'm going to mute myself and allow Carol
She's
to
on the
continue.
call. Yeah, she's a panelist and she can unmute herself. I just tried to unmute her. Carol, are you having it? Carol, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but apparently you can't hear me.
We can hear you now. You were
Okay,
unmuted.
great. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Would you repeat the question?
So I was asking, because generally when we see facilities like this, we need to know that it's run by somebody who is, somebody like, for example, as I was saying before, somebody like Pine Street Inn that has a niche, that has the insurance, that has all the associate staff support in place to make this a functional program.
I can speak to Stacy Borden's qualifications. She's been running reentry services for years within the community surrounding Dorchester. She has extensive experience in these and has the qualifications. She is also a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, and is
So can you name us specific addresses where there are facilities that she runs?
Yes, there is one relatively close by. It's Families for Justice. Stacy, I know you are a panelist too, and if you want to unmute yourself and give some additional program addresses, that would be great too.
Happy New Year, Madam Chair. This is Stacy Borden here.
Yes, nice to see you again. Happy New Year to you too.
Happy New Year. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. So, Madam Chair, we run our office out of 100 Warren Street, 100R Warren Street in partnership with Families for Justice's Healing. I've also worked in the Return of Citizens office through the Mayor's office under New Beginnings Reentry Services. I've been doing this work extensively with Victory Programs and Gavin Foundation. I am a licensed clinician, and we have credentials with several insurance companies.
Okay, so what I kind of need to understand is that what is the organization behind you? If somebody has a relapse issue or something like that, what are the supports that you have that can immediately come and help somebody?
Yes, ma'am. So we have Gavin Foundation is on standby. We do a lot of work and redirect our women that possibly relapse and bring them into detox and redirect them back into the program. If this is a consistent issue, then they become discharged from the program and hope that they can get back into treatment and get back on their feet. We also have Families for Justice's Healing, that is a community support service that goes all the way out and will drive women to these different facilities if necessary.
Okay, so I know your building then at 100. Okay, let's see. And tell us, do you have parking space for your staff people? Will there be parking provided?
Madam Chair, the residents are not permitted to have cars, so it's really a question of three parking spaces during the day for the 3 daytime staff members and 1 parking space at night. There's enough parking on street, plus Gaston Street is situated between Warren and Blue Hill Ave, and there is ample on-street parking in both of those places. It's also accessible by rail, T, and bus.
Okay. Mr. Ehrlich, how are the plans?
Drawings are adequate.
Can I find out if the board has any questions? Because both Marks and myself had the advantage of listening through the entire details. We just want to make sure that we've captured the information for the rest of the board. The street itself, Gaston, is a 2- and 3-family dwellings, some ones in there. It's a cut through between Warren and Blue Hill Ave.
So
And-
I just,
Go ahead. Any other questions?
yeah, I just got one question. The nighttime staff, that would be actual staff, right? It's not like resident that's like a manager. This is like a paid staff, possibly changing based on what day of the week and who's working type of thing?
Yes, it will be a paid staff member there overnight, not a resident acting in any capacity.
Okay. And will you have curfews for your residents, for the residents?
Yes, there are curfews. The Communities House has adopted a series of strict policies and procedures for the running of the house. The residents will be in clinical programs, largely virtual, between 9 and 5, and all residents will be in bed by 10. There is no loitering, and there is, no alcohol, no drugs, no smoking, nothing on the premises. In violation of any of those can render the resident susceptible to expulsion.
Go ahead.
Next question. Only because I'm somewhat familiar with places like this. Are you guys doing like visits on certain days? Will the visits be for like everybody? Because that could be problematic, like parking and stuff.
Yes, so the visits are limited to Saturday and Sunday only in 2 4-hour blocks, either between the hours of 1 and 5 or 2 and 6. They must be approved in advance, and they will be limited to 2 adults and children. Again, through the pre-approval process, we hope to be able, or we absolutely will be able to control traffic. We think some of these people will be arriving by public transportation, but again, we can certainly direct people to Blue Hill for parking if we perceive there's any issue with the parking on Gaston Street.
Okay, one of the things that we need to be concerned of is about your citing decision. Because one of the things that we understand is sometimes certain neighborhoods have an overabundance of treatment centers and things like that. So tell us a little bit about how you came up with your citing decision for this.
I think overall that to the extent there are a number of these facilities in the area, we believe that these programs are reflective of the need within the community, and we're trying to help address some of these issues that are facing the community. There are publicly available statistics that demonstrate the disproportionate impact that incarceration has on Boston's low-income residents, its residents of color. And we're trying to put these, we're trying to cite this location in a neighborhood so that when the women are released, they're coming back home and they are reintegrating themselves into this community. I'm going to turn it over to Stacy if she has anything else.
No. I think you answered our question. Then the next question is, will residents come from the Suffolk County House of Corrections or from the Commonwealth?
I don't know the answer to that. Stacy, can you weigh in, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have both partnerships with Suffolk House and Corrections and Framingham State Prison, the Milford Pantry Office. So they'll be coming from both state and county.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Any more questions from the board?
Madam Chair, if I could, just for my own edification, is there a rough idea on the length of stay per resident? I guess I'm just curious about occupancy and if there will be vacant rooms and how that's determined and alike.
So the program is designed as an 18-month program. We fully expect that there will be some women who stay throughout that program. There may be others that peel off at certain points in time. But the program itself is geared right now for an 18-month program.
And after the 18th month, when there is a vacancy, it'll just be filled by another resident and so on?
That's correct. You know, there may be times, or we anticipate that there will be times when the house won't be full. That these the resident levels will fluctuate, you know, as people cycle in and cycle out of the program.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me just find out if there's anybody here to speak in support of this proposal.
Madam Chair, the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services would like to speak in support.
Okay.
In a butters meeting was held on October 22nd, 2020. Support from elected officials as well as organizations in the neighborhood. We received support from them. We also received roughly 55 signatures of support from residents, but we did hear opposition from direct abutters who believe the Grove Hall area is being inundated with re-entry services that are creating a negative impact on the community. We asked that the group continue to work with the neighbors to address their concerns, but we would like to go on record. We also did receive a letter of from the Holborn, Gannett, Gaston, Otisville Betterment Association. Is that it be this particular only, and we also recommend that they possibly work a good neighbor agreement with the neighborhood to address situations like things along the lines of like parking, smoking, signage, security, and maintenance of the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected representatives of elected officials to speak?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Kevin Higgins with State Representative Liz Miranda's office. She would like to express support for the proposal at 36 Gaston Street. The applicant has negotiated and worked in good faith with members of the local neighborhood and has agreed to a community oversight good neighbor committee. Although we hoped for more time for residents to negotiate, we deeply respect their concerns and will continue to convene both the applicant and community members to ensure concerns are addressed. This applicant is not standing in opposition to residents, but instead believes that a middle ground can be found. Rep. Miranda asks the board to recognize the significant representational equity this applicant brings to reentry residential services for women being released from prison. And oversaturation is an issue that Rep. Miranda is committed to working on in the legislature. And in this session, some progress was made in the recently passed housing legislation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any representative from District City Councilor?
Hi, this is Genevieve representing President Janie's office. At the moment, we are have no comment. Thank you.
Okay, no comment. Okay. May I? Okay, so that's so now. Go ahead. Any other elected officials? Yes.
Madam Chair, Secretary here. We do have numerous letters of support. We have also letters of opposition on the project.
Okay. Now let me, anybody here who has a raised hand, I want 3 people who are in support, please. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 5 raised hands. I'm going to take you in order. Eli Patterson, let's hear from you either in support or in opposition.
Hello, could you hear me?
Yes, please put your name and address on the record.
My name is Elijah Patterson. I live at 31 Juniper Street in 0112, that's Roxbury. I'm speaking in affirmation of this project on behalf of myself.
Hold on. Are you in West Roxbury, did you say?
Roxbury.
You're in Roxbury, and how far are you from this project?
Oh, we're in the same district. So it's down Cedar Street, basically.
Okay. You're down Cedar, so you're in okay. Okay, thank you.
But I'm speaking on behalf of myself as well as the organization Black and Pink Massachusetts, which is a Boston-based organization for lesbian, gay.
Ms. Patterson, thank you. Let's move on to Delia and James.
Mute me, Kelly.
Hello, Madam Chairperson and board members, thank you. My husband and I are opposed to this project.
What's your address, please? Your full name and address?
Sure. My name is Julia Dowling. We reside at 27 Gaston Street, which is directly across from 36 Gaston Street. We are opposed to this project. The main issues is the density, the amount of residents that they're proposing for a 5-bedroom single-family home it's a lot, and there's no robust COVID plan in place that was addressed. In addition, there's no parking at all on that facility. When they had the open house, our parking spaces were taken, and Ms. Borden does propose a Saturday and Sunday family meeting, and the open house is an indication of what we may have to deal with. In addition, there's a high concentration already of these types of homes, and none of the meeting has addressed how this program is going to benefit the residents and the community as a whole.
Thank you. May I hear from Jarrell?
Jarrell, yep. Okay.
Good afternoon. I apologize. This is Mallory Honora from Families for Justice as Healing. I'm on my colleague's laptop. I just wanted to confer our support. We are an organization
Hold on. Who is this who just popped in?
This is Mallory Honora. I'm on Jarrell's laptop. We've been on the meeting for 4.5 hours.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just was expecting a different voice.
Yeah,
so go ahead. What's your name and address on the record?
My name is Mallory Honora. I'm the Executive Director of Families for Justice as Healing. We are at 100R Warren Street, Roxbury, Massachusetts.
Okay, and you're in support.
119.
Okay. May I hear from Elizabeth Rucker, please?
We're supporting, yes.
Thank you. Elizabeth Rucker, please.
Elizabeth, you've been unmuted.
Yes, hello. I'm a resident at 31 Juniper Street, Madam Chairwoman. I'm speaking in support of Kemia's house. I'm also trying to speak as a representative of Black and Pink Massachusetts, which is also a fiscally sponsored organization at 100R Warren Street in Roxbury. We are excited to have a welcoming and affirming option for recovery and reentry in our neighborhood because we have been failed by sober homes and treatment centers before.
Thank you, Elizabeth. May I speak with Carol, please?
I'm the attorney for the board. I couldn't get,
Carol now. Okay. Okay, so Ms. Ambassador, can you, I think we've gotten everybody.
I have my hand raised.
Who is this?
This is Melissa Elo. I've been on for the 4 hours we've been on.
I know, and we've been working so hard in that time. So please put your name and address on the record, and let's hear from you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Elo. I live at 7 Otisfield Street, which runs directly into Gaston Street. I am in full support of this program. I think she has addressed every issue regarding the treatment that will be held. The parking will never be an issue. Blue Hill Ave and Otisfield and Gaston, there's always parking. We had a church that's on our street that used to fill up our street, and there was still parking on Blue Hill Ave. So I don't think that's an issue. I think that what she's doing is much needed in the community, and I fully support everything that she's doing.
And then we have Michael Kuzo representing Project Right in opposition.
I think you've been unmuted. I also know Laura wanted to speak, but Mike, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, Michael, just go ahead.
Michael Kuzo, Project Right. My office is at 320 Blue Avenue, around the corner from the spot. Many neighbors have expressed concerns about the parking problems that was caused by their event. Their driveways were blocked, and they did not get cooperation in getting that addressed. 16 people in that single family house is too many people given the spot that they're in. So those are some of the concerns that neighbors have raised.
Okay, thank you. At this point, we're going to...
Madam Chair, may I just interrupt for 1 minute? I need to clarify something for the record. On the issue of density, in the interest of trying to work in good faith with the neighborhood group, this morning, we agreed to reduce the initial number of residents in the house to 10 for the first year. And then the 15 would then, we would ramp up to 15 in the years thereafter. But in that first year, we would agree to 10 people, 10 residents in the house plus 1 staff person overnight.
Okay, now we're going to just cut off all comment, please. Ms. Ambassador, actually, no, there's one thing I do need to do. Ms. Ambassador, were you saying that there were a large number of call-ins?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't see anyone's hands raised. I was going to ask if people could press *3 if they are looking to raise their hand, but I did not see a hand raised here.
Let's give it a minute. Anybody who's on the phone, please press *3 if you're interested in speaking briefly.
I also have Laura Younger who's been on a call all day. She's been unmuted. Go ahead, Laura.
Hi, I'm Heartbreak.
Please put your name and address on the record.
Laura Younger, 1 Kaleda Park, which is part of the Holborn, Gannett, Gaston, Otisfield Betterment Association. It's a heartbreak, but we do not support this variance at this time. And it has nothing to do with the program, but the change of zoning to a transitional conditional use is a major step for that residential neighborhood. And if you grant all the relief right now, the list of issues that we've raised, we have less of confidence of gaining any negotiated settlement to those. And so humanitarian aside, if you think that it's only going to be public transportation, try on a Sunday waiting for the 45 bus coming down Blue Hill Avenue to get to that location. And if services are going to be rendered there, those folks are going to drive there. So as far as parking, it is an issue, but it's also the fact that we're in a time when we need to know the management, the COVID, the density, and yes, there are 8 or 9 transitional housing type of entities around there in a walking distance. And it's not because of the need, it's because the large houses are being snapped up without the work. So we're over concentrated in that. Those sites get variances at the drop of a hat, and the neighbors need real leverage to negotiate what happens in the community. So
okay, thank you. May I, and will you call and use the number 48?
Yes.
Okay, so I think we've heard a good array of voices on this project. May I have any motion from?
I'd like to make a motion to approve for this petitioner only.
Let me just ask one more thing, because sometimes what we have done is asked applicants to come back in a year's time and give us a report and to hear back from the community how operations have been in a year. Does that make sense on this project?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so there are 2 provisos here. One is to this petitioner only, and that a year from now, we anticipate hearing from everybody with an update to this board. So this approval is for 1 year until we hear from the applicant.
I'll second Mr. Ruggerio's motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
Now we're going to get into the rediscussions for 1 o'clock.
Madam Chair, I'm recusing myself from this case.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 103-7522, 437 Frankfurt Street.
Madam Chair, I have to recuse myself as well on this matter.
Okay, so there are two recusals. It means for the applicant, whoever you are, you need all 5 members of this board to be in support for it to move.
Mr. Lins.
You can, Mr. Lins, request a deferral until you have a more robust board.
Madam Chair, if I may, for the record, Richard Lins, 245 Sumner Street, East Boston, the applicant petitioner. I'm not sure that we're going to get much different of a makeup of the board, and based upon the changes we've made to this project, I'm confident that it warrants merit even with a 5-member board at this point.
Okay.
All right, Madam Chair, I'm going to call it in for the record, calling BOA 1037522, 437 Frankfurt Street. This is erect a 4-unit residential dwelling. The violation is Article 27T. This is in the East Boston iPod. Article 53, Section 37, excessive FAR, and Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking and loading. Name and address for the record, please.
Again, for the record, good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Richard Lins, 245 Sumner Street, East Boston. On behalf of the petitioner of Volney Capital, also with me is Eric Zackerson, who is the project architect. In the interest of time, I'm going to ask that Ms. Boland jump to slide number 7, which shows the rendering of the proposed project in context. While she's doing that, Madam Chair, this project is located in, let's stick with that slide right there. This project is located in what is known as the Corridor Enhancement District that's defined under Article 53. It is certainly one of the most flexible zoning districts in the neighborhood. And one of the reasons why we are electing to proceed to go forward is this project is essentially as of right use that conforms with all of the dimensional requirements under Article 53, with the exception only of FAR. The parking violation that is cited is based upon the fact that the calculation at 4 units comes out to 4.5 parking spaces. We do provide 4 spaces, which is 1 space per unit. And as I indicated, this project is the result of about 1.5 years worth of conversation with the neighborhood and multiple modifications to address specific concerns, not the least of which was the height of the building, which is now below 35 feet. The number of units, which originally started out as 9, is now down to 4, and the number of parking spaces ratio, which is at 1-to-1 per unit. As I said, each of the requirements relative to setback have all been met, and I'll walk through those briefly. The unit sizes, and again, this is in response to what we typically hear in the neighborhood, are a very generous 2- and 3-bedroom unit sizes, with the 2 bedrooms at around 920 square feet, and the 3-bedroom as large as 1,220 square feet. We felt that that was an important component for a residential neighborhood such as this, based upon comments that were heard, and that is the reason why the FAR is excessive. With respect to the Corridor Enhancement District, Madam Chair, there is no minimum lot size. However, we do have 3,000 square feet, which is more than sufficient under the code. Our lot width is at 50 feet, and we do have setbacks on each side of this property at 3.5 feet. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for all that. Is there a roof deck proposed?
There is a roof deck, and it is accessed by hatch, so no head house is being proposed with respect to the roof deck.
Okay. Mr. Ehrlich, how are the plans?
The plans are okay. I guess the one question I have, hold on, let me pull it back up. The maneuverability of the parking spaces?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Mr. Ehrlich. And one of the things that we specifically asked ISD to consider, because I know Mr. D'Amico occasionally cites that as an issue, and we did ask ISD to review that. We were not cited for maneuverability. We actually went one step further and hired an engineer. And I do have those slides included here that confirm the maneuverability works with the parking layout that we've implemented here for this property.
Mr. Lynn, how come you used a Volvo?
I defer to the engineer on that. He's not on the call, but I believe that was the average size vehicle that was being utilized.
Could have used an American car, you know.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Not my call, Mr. Ehrlich. I agree. Maybe built in an American factory.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Lina Tramelli with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on the record in support. The Office of Neighborhood Services received letters of opposition from abutters based on FAR, excessive, density, and lack of parking on a dead-end street. But however, this is a transit-accessible development located right next to Wood Island Station. This project has gone through an extensive community process for almost 1.5 years, where the Office of Neighborhood Services held 3 abutters meetings where the applicant worked to make the proposal less impactful and address most of the concerns of the abutters, reducing the number of units from 9 to 4, the number of stories from 4 to 3, and the height of the building from 43 feet to 34 feet, and also increase the parking from 0 to 4. We also received 16 letters of support from abutters, including 6 direct abutters on the rear and the left of the property, and as well members of the Harborview Neighborhood Association. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Secretary here, we have numerous letters of support and numerous letters of opposition.
Okay, Ricardo?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The councilor would like to go on the record in opposition to this proposal.
And do you know what the opposition might be based on?
Yeah, we received numerous letters and calls, emails from abutters in the area about their concerns regarding the density and the impact of on parking that this proposal would have on a dead-end street.
Okay, thank you. Anybody?
Yeah, Madam Chair, just briefly, the issue of opposition also may have a lot to do with the fact that this was a larger project being originally proposed. We have made substantial reductions in the size of this project.
Yes, that happens. Karen, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chairwoman. Good afternoon, Chairwoman, members of the board. Karen Foley, Councilor Asabi George's office. Would like to echo the sentiments of Councilor Edwards and oppose this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ambassador, can you call on a couple of people who've called in and a couple of other residents?
Excuse me, Madam Chair. This is Dave from City Councilor at Large Michelle Wu's office. We'd also like to go on record in opposition.
Thank you.
Okay, and caller 617909, you've been unmuted. User 105.
I'm curious, I've heard you today have many people have to come back in the future, and I don't know which way this vote is going to go, but...
I just need to ask, put your name and address on the record, and we're talking about 437 Frankfurt Street. So tell us if you're in support or in opposition.
In opposition, and I apologize, I've been listening all day. I should have known to give my name and address.
What's your name and address already?
Vera Caducci, 2 Swift Terrace. And again, just curious if these people could be held to the standard of being checked in if this ever does go forward. While we appreciate it going from 9 to 4 and all the changes, if you lived in the neighborhood, what really happened is they would have said anything and everything to get this done. And I don't know, it's been a total flim flam, and I don't know if people can be believed, and it would be nice to check in on them later.
This is where the decision gets made, so thank you for hanging on. Can I hear from 2 more people, please, Jessica?
Sure. I know Melanie's been waiting for a while. Melanie, you've been unmuted.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Melanie Roach-Lapuka, and I'm an abutter residing at 447 Frankfurt Street, and my wife, Megan, is also here. We're both strongly opposed to the project, and the overwhelming majority of the community is opposed to the project.
Just tell us the reason for your opposition.
Yep, so we have 30 signatures, physical signatures from direct abutters.
Tell us the reason for the opposition.
Our first reason is we're opposed on the basis of the developer having no substantial hardships, which he has stated at a previous abutters meeting. The population density, the developer rented out one of the properties, the property that he purchased that goes along with this land. And the the guys that he rented it out to have caused significant noise, significant issues in the neighborhood. And quite frankly, we're worried that that's going to happen in the new house.
Thank you. Hold on. Thank you. Ms. Ambassador, can I hear from another caller?
Sure. Joni DiMarzo.
Me?
Yep. Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and board members. My name is Joni DiMarzo. I'm a direct abutter at 435 Frankfurt Street. I have lived here for most of my life, 27 years, and my mother and I are lifelong residents of East Boston. I'm in opposition of this project due to the negative impacts it has on my family as well as the neighborhood. And I do, for the record, want to mention that this project started in 2019 with 9 units and 11 bedrooms. And what happened was the units were merged into one. So there was two bedrooms merged into one 4-bedroom. So the word units has been fabricated. The size is the same, the population.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So, board members, given all this information, may I have a motion, please? And information comes in also through chat. Thank you for sharing it with all panelists, but may I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to deny without prejudice.
I'm going to second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It's been denied without prejudice.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 106-9837, 159 to 165 Everett Street. This is to combine lots to create one lot, raise the existing building and erect a 7-unit residential dwelling with roof decks and parking for 8 vehicles. The violation is Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking requirements, design, maneuver, and area. Article 53, Section 57, traffic visibility across the corner lot. Article 27T-5, it's in the East Boston iPod. Article 53, Section 8, the use is forbidden. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient additional lot area per unit. Article 53, Section 9, excessive FAR. Article 53, Section 9, the number of allowed stories has been exceeded. Article 53, Section 9, the maximum allowed height has been exceeded. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient open space per unit. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient rear yard setback. And Article 53, Section 9, location of the main entrance. Name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon again, Madam Chair, members of the board. Richard Lenz, 245 Sumner Street, East Boston, on behalf of the petitioner. Madam Chair, we're back before the board on rediscussion. We did pretty much have a full hearing on this, took testimony. There was a question relative to the maneuverability and the parking. We were asked to provide an updated diagram as well as address the design of the doors. If we could jump to the screen that has the updated plan for parking, I can have David Freed, who is the project architect, explain how the parking would work with respect to this project.
And to confirm, it is 7 units with 8 parking spaces.
That's correct.
And is there a roof deck? There is roof deck.
There is a roof deck. We did modify the project to eliminate head houses as well. And again, I believe the board took testimony with support from the counselor, the mayor's office, and Jeffrey's Neighborhood Association.
Okay, so
outstanding question was the parking.
So please, let's get to it.
I'm not seeing on the screen the. Can let you know which slide. Just keep going.
It's A1.1, I think, is what you want.
Yeah, it's coming up already. So Mr. Ehrlich had raised some questions about the hatched areas in the front portion of this, and it was unclear as to whether or not that was considered an obstruction which would interfere with the access. Mr. Freed went ahead and clarified this, as well as showing the maneuverability into the garage. So we do propose a total of 8 spaces. They are all tandem, and they would be assigned based upon the unit, the specific unit that acquires the parking. So if Mr. Freed wants to go ahead and explain how the parking works, and to clarify that this, based upon the calculations, works from a maneuverability standpoint.
Yes, hi. My name is David Freed. I am a project manager at Shoe & Company. All four sets of tandem spaces, each car can independently maneuver in and out of their tandem space without impact or being blocked by the other spaces. And as you can see from the dash line showing the direction of the vehicle exiting, that they can bypass each car without and egress through the garage without impacting the adjacent cars.
I think Mr. Ehrlich's concern was that vehicles would not be able to pull out in the two far ends, the left and right, without impacting the ones in the middle, based upon those hash marks. But the purpose of those hash marks, from what I understand, is to delineate an area that no parking would be allowed. So it is open and accessible. It's just not included as part of the parking.
You know, it also is dependent on a very large curb cut, 24 feet.
We've also evaluated that, Mr. Ehrlich, and Mr. Freed has examined the maximum curb cut that would be permitted. You can have, based upon the number of vehicles that are being parked on the site, is our understanding that 24 feet is the maximum. Anything beyond that requires PIC approval. And certainly we would have no issue going before PIC if there's any request or requirement for that curb cut.
Well, no, I'm not talking about expanding it. I'm talking about limiting it.
Limiting it, yeah.
I mean, you can't, based on the drawings that are here and the maneuverability, you need all 24 feet in order to get out. That's just, you know, that's every time you go beyond a 12-foot or 10 or 12-foot standard curb cut, you're removing parking spaces as well as creating off-street parking.
All right. So one of the other things that we did, Mr. Ehrlich, in connection with this project, there is on the Houghton Court side, there was an additional access point curb cut into the site. That's being eliminated and closed up. So we're actually, you know, I would say, for lack of a better term, moving from Houghton Court to Everett Street for the one curb cut.
Net zero?
You say potato.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
Yeah, the other on you said you moved from the head house to the hatch. On A22, the elevation, I'm not quite clear what that drawing is showing. It looks like a head house still. Well, actually, I don't know what it is.
I think, and Mr. Freed can explain this as well. In order to comply, this is a little bit of a different take on the building code requirements, Mr. Ehrlich. It does continue to allow for access, but the area, and I'll let David Freed explain this, the area that is required under the code is actually at the third level. So we want to jump back to that elevation. We can talk quickly about that.
Okay, is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Lina Tramelli with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on the record in support. During the committee process, this proposal received strong support from abutters and Jeffreys Point Neighborhood Association. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Ricardo Petro from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The council would also like to go on the record in support.
Madam Chair, we have 2 raised hands.
Let's go for it.
Okay. Chris, you've been unmuted.
Good afternoon. I'm Christopher Thornton. I'm 155 Everett Street, directly abutting. So I have a handful of concerns that no abutters meeting. The only notification I got from this was finding a flyer months ago. And this today, plenty of the directly abutting neighbors are in opposition, but being a longtime resident, they're age, and they don't know how to join a Zoom or a WebEx meeting. So plenty of opposition directly about neighbors. I have concerns about density. We're going from a essentially married couple.
Mr. Thornton, can you speed up, please?
Yes, ma'am.
And just give us bullet points. So your concern is density, your concern is outreach, anything else?
Yes, ma'am. Off-street parking as well. Looking at that diagram, nothing, at least nothing has changed from the previous meeting.
Okay, thank you. May I hear from Tricia, please?
You've been unmuted. Patricia?
Okay, given that information, may I have a motion, please?
To approve a BPA design review.
Second.
DeVoe.
All those in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 102-7055, 655 Saratoga Street. This is a change of art from a retail space to 4 residential units in retail space. Construct a new 2-story addition with roof deck above the existing first floor footprint and the renovation to the existing garage. The violation is Article 27T-5, it's in the East Boston iPod. Article 53, Section 8, a multifamily dwelling use is forbidden. Article 53, Section 52, roof structure restriction. Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the floor area ratio is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, the building height is excessive in stories. Article 53, Section 9, the building height is excessive in feet. Article 53, Section 9, the front yard's insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the side yard is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the rear yard's insufficient. And Article 9, Section 2 is a change in a non-conforming use. Name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Matt Eckel with Drago and Toscano with the business address of 11 Beacon Street. With me today is Eric Zackerson, the project architect. As mentioned, we're seeking to change the occupancy from a commercial space, Saratoga convenience store, to a commercial space and 4 condominium units with 5 parking spaces. Also to add that 2-story addition. The existing use, as you can see on page 3, is that Saratoga convenience store. Also, as you move down Curtis Street, there are 6 individual garage bays. That includes 6 continuous, I should say, 1 long continuous curb cut to access those 6 garage bays. So along with trying to change the occupancy to maintain the store and add 4 condominium units, we're closing that curb cut to allow access for 5 interior parking spaces for condominium units. So by doing so, we would add 2 parking spaces back to the street. In terms of the floor plan, as I mentioned, we're seeking to maintain the Saratoga convenience store. That was the first thing, and the thing we heard the most often was please keep that store, do not eliminate
So,
that.
Mike, can you move on and tell us what the bedroom sizes are, the units, the bedroom count and the unit sizes, and then move on to the roof deck?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. So yes, the first floor will be the 5 parking spaces in the convenience store. As you move up to the second story, unit 1 will be 1,190 square feet. That would be a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit. Unit 2 would be just over 1,000 square feet at 1,030. That'll be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit. On the third floor will be units 3 and 4. Unit 3 will be 1,150 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And unit 4 will be smaller because we do have a 15-foot rear pullback. That'll be a 750 square foot, 1-bed, 1-bath unit. Both units 3 and 4 will have exclusive access to their own roof decks, and those will be accessed via hatch.
Okay, thank you. How are the plans, Mr. Olick? Mark? How are the plans?
Sorry, once again, I had muted myself. The drawings are fine.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Lina Tramelli with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on the record in support. The Office of Neighborhood Services held 2 abutters meeting where the applicant addressed several of the concerns expressed during the community process. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The council would like to leave this proposal at the discretion of the board.
Thank you.
Madam Chief Secretary here, we have numerous letters of support and numerous letters of opposition.
Any raised hands, Ms. Ambassador?
Madam Chair, there are no raised hands.
May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve BPDA design review.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, could I add,
Can we add signage review as part of the BPDA review, please?
That will be included, yes. So there's a
Let's
motion.
take more focus on that if possible.
Okay, so there's approval with BPDA design review. There was a motion. Was there a second?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Jeff, also look at signage.
Yeah, I'll make a note of it.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 110-6912, 243 Princeton Street. This is seeking to combine parcels to form one new lot with 5,000 square foot lot to be known as 243 Princeton Street. This would be 7 units and 9 parking spaces. The violations, Article 10, Section 1, limitation of parking area. Article 77T-5, this is in the East Boston iPod. Article 53, Section 56, insufficient parking. Article 53, Section 56.5A, clear maneuvering area. Article 53, Section 8, your MFR is forbidden. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient lot area per unit. Article 53, Section 9, excessive FAR. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient open space. And Article 53, Section 9, insufficient rear yard setback. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano with that business address of 11 Beacon Street. Here representing the developer, Al Legee, and the architect, David Joy, should be with us. I'm going to try to be very brief. I also just want to point out that the plans through community process have changed and the description has changed. We are now seeking and will reflect in the plans to combine the 2 lots, raise the existing structure, and erect 7 residential condominium units with 7 associated parking spaces. In doing so, we also took off the 4th floor of the building and eliminated a number of violations, height and stories, height and feet, front yard, to name a few, as well as removing all roof decks in the building. This particular zoning district is a 3F 2000. Just to go over the layout, our first floor would be our main entrance to the building.
So Counselor, can you give us the bedroom count, the square feet, and tell us about how parking will work in there?
Sure. So our first floor has the main entrance with 7 parking spaces interior. Those would go 1 for each unit. Those are legitimate spaces. Those aren't tandem spaces. We also have an ADA accessible unit on the ground level with 2 entrances, one on the side through a 5-foot passageway, as well as the main entrance in the building. That would be unit 1, and that would be a 2-bedroom, 1 bath at 1,000 square feet. As we go up to the second floor, we have 3 units. Those are all 2 bedrooms, 1,000, 1,000, and 1,110 square feet. And our third floor mirrors the exact layout of the second floor, 1,000, 1,000, and 1,110 square feet, Madam Chair. We've taken off the roof decks and the 4th floor, so we are below the 31 feet at our height.
How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
The drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Lina Tramelli, with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on the record in support. The applicant worked close with the community and addressed most of the concerns, reducing the number of units from 9 to 7, number of stories from 4 to 3, and remove the roof decks. We received 19 letters of support from abutters, including 2 direct abutters. Thank you.
Hello, Madam Chair and members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The council would also like to go on the record in support.
Okay, Madam Chair, we have a hand raised. Luigi, go ahead.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm Luigi Natali from Senator Joseph Boncore's office, and he is in full support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dino, I appreciate it.
May I have a motion, please?
You too, man.
Motion to approve BPDA design review.
Is there a second?
Second, Tyra.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Before we go to the last case, can I ask all board members to hang around after we close the meeting, okay? So do not hang up. Okay, last case, sorry. Mr. Fortune.
Sure, calling the last case, calling BOA 109-8736, 14 to 20 West Broadway. This is an interior renovation of existing second-floor restaurant, shell space, construct a new tenant, separate walls, and change proposed occupancy to include 4 units consisting of 2 studios, 2 one-bedroom units. Change occupancy from 49 residential units, restaurant, retail, parking, to 53 residential units, restaurant, retail, and parking. The violations, Article 68, Section 8, insufficient additional lot area per unit. Article 68, Section 33, off-street parking and loading requirement, and Article 68, Section 8, dimensional regulations, insufficient open space per unit. Name and address for the record.
Madam Chair.
Good afternoon.
Excuse me, Mr. Moranci, just real quick, Madam Chair, just for the record, this is another appeal where updated plans have been submitted. They have not yet been approved by the plans examiner.
Thank you.
Mr. Ehrlich aware of that.
And I'll explain that. This is George Moranci. I'm the attorney for the project. I have a business address of 350 West Broadway. The only update to the plans has nothing to do with the 4 units in question. There's a room outside on the second floor that was mislabeled. Mr. Ehrlich was chairing when this hearing was first heard. That was mislabeled on the initial plans as a bike room. It was a media room, and that was very important to the residents there. They didn't like the fact that it was misidentified as not being their media room. Has nothing to do with the change of occupancy. I simply wanted to get that updated as a courtesy to the unit owners. There was some amount of resentment. They didn't like the fact that it was called the bike room, but it's irrelevant to the proposal. The existing plans can
Please,
be used.
Mr. Moranci, tell us what's proposed.
Certainly. So this is I represent Fraser Capital First, my client, and one of its principals, John Driscoll. They own the 3,275 square foot commercial unit on the second floor of this building, 14 West Broadway condominium in South Boston. This appeal is seeking to convert that second floor commercial space into 4 dwelling units. The matter was deferred in November in order to allow for a continued and better dialogue between representatives of the unit owners, myself and my client. This building was approved back in 2015. It contains 49 dwelling units in addition to first and second floor commercial units. This particular unit was purchased by my client in 2019. The building had been approved for a restaurant. It was initially envisioned that it would be
Mr. Moranci, you can tell I'm getting weary. Can you tell us the sizes of the
Certainly. So the second story commercial space would be converted into 4 units consisting of 2 studios of 515 and 550 square feet, a 1-bedroom unit of 944 square feet, and a 1,266 square foot unit, which is currently programmed as a 2-bedroom, but might become a 1-bedroom. My client has not made a final decision. The violations are insufficient usable open space, as well as insufficient lot size for the additional dwelling unit. It's important to note there's no creation of any new gross floor area here, merely a repurposing of what already exists. There's also a violation.
Yeah, tell us about the parking.
There's also
relief, right?
Yeah, also a violation owing to the fact that no off-street parking can be created, but the site is directly across the street from the MBTA's Broadway Red Line station. Otherwise, there are 89 parking spaces in the building according to the certificate of occupancy. I do have to point out with respect to parking that the number of people living in these 4 units would quite likely be anywhere from 5 to 8 people. By comparison, the legal occupancy load of this space, if it were to remain commercial, would be much greater. An office use could have 33 occupants, a fitness center, for example, could have 66, and if it were in fact used...
Hold on, Counselor, hold on. Mr. Ehrlich, you have the plans. Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Yeah, just to be clear, I don't have the plans.
But Mr. Moranci just updated it that it was nomenclature change. Is anybody here to speak in support?
Madam of the Chair, members of the board, Anna Cateron from Councillor Flynn's office. The councillor would like to go on record in support a true community process with neighbors that include 3 meetings and good faith compromises on both sides. We also reach out to the neighbors and the West Broadway Neighborhood Association who reported no concerns on the proposal. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon, Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services, would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, on behalf of City Council Large Michael Flaherty. While it's Council Flaherty's position to oppose relief under Article 68, this is a matter where we would otherwise have yet more unoccupied commercial space on West Broadway. Under the circumstances and continued community process, the council would like to lend its support.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Tyrone.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Sorry, I came in late on this one. I'd like
The
to.
meeting is now, Karen, thank you. The meeting is now adjourned.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice night.
Impactful to people. They were more like kind of expressing a mild annoyance just to have captions on only TVs in the establishments. So we're going to propose the draft that I shared with you, which would cover all TVs in establishments in public places. And we'll go from there. I mean, if people have objections, they can come to the hearing and speak out. And then it's really up to the city council and the mayor to read it, understand it, listen to comments, and make the decision. So Wesley, thank you again for raising this. And please don't feel like it was dropped, because it has been delayed. And that's just a byproduct of the fact that we're working on a lot of things.
Totally understandable.
And just so we can clarify the process, Commissioner, basically it will go before the city council, but prior to that, they'll schedule a public hearing, correct?
Yep, they usually, what they do is they schedule a public hearing in city council with the councilors in attendance. And I may present the facts on it. The law department might be there. And then we'll just present what we want to do. And then people can sign up to speak out about it, whether in favor or against it. And then the city council takes that information and reads the documents over, the proposal over, and then they'll make a decision. I don't believe they vote on it at the first meeting. They will take it back and digest it a little bit and then call for a vote at a later date. So it is a somewhat lengthy process anyway. But that's okay, because we have it started, and we'll keep pushing for it. We'll keep moving forward.
Sure.
And I know.
Do we need a sponsor, like one of the councilors to sponsor it, or no?
Our first step is to go through IGR, and they can let us know. You do usually get support from one or more councilors, and I have a few in mind who I believe would support it.
Yeah, well, I know Councilor Flynn has been very supportive of your work and of the advisory board in the past, so.
Yep. He identifies as a disabled vet, so he's very supportive of our issues. So, yeah.
And Carl has his hand raised.
I finally figured out how to raise my hand. So I also wanted to, as a result of the good work that the commissioner has done, I was speaking to a senator at the State House and told him about that we were doing this, knowing that he has deaf members in his family. And he was so excited, he told his deaf daughter about it. And now he wants to submit a bill to make it statewide.
That's awesome.
And he's now looking into whether or not, so I've had a few meetings with him and his staff, Senator Michael Barrett, and we're looking into whether a bill will be submitted next session to consider the possibility of making this a statewide mandate.
That's great.
Yeah, and several states have done that. Some are on the state level and some are on the city level. But I think our thinking was, and the law department thinking was, it might be able to happen more quickly at a city level because the state has more to research, more people to reach out to. You know, the whole state is a large area. So
You guys will do it quicker.
yeah, we'll keep moving forward, but then if the state does it, all the better.
Great.
Were there any other questions on that? Or comments?
Elizabeth has a question.
Yeah, that's great to hear that it's moving forward. Can you just remind us, does that include also statistics on people who are hard of hearing? Because since that is even a larger percentage of people who would benefit, not to mention if people want to foresee a new normal down the road, that in many restaurant bar settings and certain settings, just the ambient noise, it can be beneficial to anyone who wants to hear what's happening on the TV. But can you just remind me about that?
Yes, anytime really that we advocate for anything for people who are deaf, we always include people who are hard of hearing and also seniors who lose their hearing with age. And in the draft, if you go back and read it, and I can resend it, we in a very detailed way, we laid out all the people that this would impact and affect. And that's the really good thing about disability accessibility changes that are made, is that people don't realize it, but they help everybody. Like we see that with curb ramps. Now we get baby carriages and luggage and things like that. We see it with concrete sidewalks. Everybody can use them. And certainly we'll see it with captains. And the great thing is it will help people who didn't even know if they needed this service. You know, like you said, sometimes people just tune out and think they can't participate in a TV program because they can't hear it. But now if there are captions, it will just, it will kind of, you know, inspire people to pay attention more and, you know, enjoy TV even.
Yeah, thanks, because I thought you had, but I think it just always is helpful for people to be aware of that, including, as we've both discussed, the ambient noise. But I don't know if there were any other questions, but you also were going to, Jerry had mentioned about an update about the City Hall Plaza renovation.
Yep, just one final comment on the captions ordinance, somewhat related. Wesley had also asked about the Horace Mann School. You may know that building is closing down. So we did identify a contact in the Boston Public School to reach out to for information about the temporary move and then where the school will end up as a permanent home. So I have not made contact with that person yet, but we believe he's the right person to speak to about this. So I will be following up on that also. So thank you, Wesley. You alone have done so much advocacy this year for people with disabilities, and we're getting stuff done. We have the clear masks, so we thought you'd be happy about that. So we are making progress.
I just wanted to note, Commissioner, we reached out to the VPS contact today.
Oh, great. Excellent.
Yes, thank you so much to Carl and for Wesley for all their advocacy efforts this year, and thank you to everyone for all your hard work this year. I really appreciate that, and I know the Commissioner's office really appreciates, the Commissioner and her staff really appreciates it, and once again, let's thank the Commissioner for all her efforts, particularly around the pandemic for people with disabilities as well. So thank you for that.
Sure. And then an update on City Hall Plaza. So I had a conversation with Chief Brophy, and he is still very much supportive of the agreement. He's working now with all the city departments that are going to benefit from these changes on the plaza, like the city department that handles like entertainment and tourism, our office with the improved access, and every other department that has a direct connection to the improvements. So what he wants to do is highlight the work that's happening along the way to prepare people for the changes and keep them updated and motivated, because it's going to be a long project. You know, it's going to be well over another year before it's completed. So we want to keep people in the loop and make sure they know what's happening. So he is going to do some highlighting of the accessibility improvements in the next month or so. So at his suggestion, he said that we could also highlight the fact that we're doing an agreement with the Disability Commission Advisory Board to ensure that the access remains in place. So he is still fully committed. We also spoke with the law department about it, and their feeling is that it would make the most sense to have this agreement go into effect when the work is done, because then it will be, I believe, the board expressed a desire to have it revisited a year from when the work is initially done. So we do still have some time to write up the agreement, and we will work on that, you know, in the new year, but we haven't actually written the agreement yet. But we will have some language, like I said, in the press releases that go out about accessibility. They should be going out sometime in January, so we can talk a little bit more about it. We can highlight it. We're still committed to it, but we just haven't actually worked with the law department to write it yet. And our contact in the law department will be going on leave for a few weeks. So when he gets back, he will put us on the calendar to move forward with it.
Remind us, Commissioner, when's the first phase supposed to be completed?
I am not sure about that.
Okay.
Does any of my staff know? Jessica, Patricia, Sarah? If you do.
I believe it's a while. I know that's not a specific time.
Like a year?
I think
Something
at
like
least
that.
a year.
Okay.
But they are working steadily on it, so it will happen.
Yes, it pops up on the news every once in a while, so.
Yeah, that's exactly what they want to do. They want to keep it in the news.
Could I ask another question?
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I, for instance, would have interest in the language that did you call it the law department? It's always helpful to see, you know, what's written what's at the written level, and, you know, with possible interpretations, so that no matter who may be overseeing it at any point, that it's encompasses what we discussed.
Yeah, absolutely. We can share a draft with the board because it's the agreement with the board. So before it's finalized, we will definitely work on it together. And Chief Brophy also mentioned he may want some quotes from people for the press releases. So I will reach out to board members if anyone would like to share a quote or two.
Okay.
And on a related note for old business, that reminds me that although it's at a much earlier point, when you're talking about the Boston Public Library, the BPL, and I'm trying to, Commissioner, you might have to help me paraphrase this in a better way, but once again, in a situation where the board would like to avoid a situation like City Hall Plaza, where we were brought in at the 11th hour for any input, that there was talk about whether we could have an update on any potential design at an earlier point in the process. And although I think you had said you would run it by them, or what did the architects think, but I think our advocacy needs to be not necessarily at the choosing of what, because I would think if I were on the architecture, the project side of it, you know, the further you can get uninterrupted, the better. And yet it's at the design phase when, if there need modifications or other considerations, it's most helpful.
Yes, and I did work with the library a month or so ago. They have a community advisory committee that they're working with, and they did ask for a representative from the disability community. So I gave them a name of a former member of the Architectural Access Board, Carol Steinberg. So she is serving on the advisory committee. So she will be in all those meetings, offering her expertise as well as her lived experience. So there is community input happening, but I will certainly see if they can do a presentation to the board. We can put that on our list of things to follow up for in the new year. And they'll have to let us know when they're ready, but I agree, it should be earlier rather than later.
Yeah, well, she'll be an excellent representative, but since the board, we across the board draw from different types of lived experience, I think that would be very helpful and important. Thanks.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's all I have, I believe, for emerging concerns or old business. Sorry.
Okay. And under new business, I know that there's a heading looking ahead to 2021. So Commissioner, do you and your office have some stuff that you want us to be aware of for 2021?
I think I pretty much covered it. It would be the vaccine and focus groups. It was agenda items, but I think we have 2 or 3 now that we talked about. And then also the meeting schedule, which Jessica mentioned before we started, which we'll have to wait till January to get our firm